step one is honesty, and this is where you have to believe that. Well, you have to know that your life is that you are powerless over your addiction, and your life has become unmanageable. Um, a deadly, deadly disease, and if you're at this point where your life is unmanageable and you know it, you're probably pushing death's doorstep or close to, or you can see that going to happen eventually. Um, so step one is honesty, and for uh, your typical addict, honesty isn't a huge part of your life. It wasn't for me. Sorry, I keep looking down. So step one, honesty. Admit that you of yourself are powerless and that you can't do it by yourself. Step two, the key word is hope. I always capitalize this. This is my favorite word, hope, because coming from an addict that's down to the lowest they've ever been, they can't see their way out. They're hopeless, and it's it can be a scary process. I'm trying to do two things at once, so hold tight. I'm a little bit ding dongish. I can only do. I'm not a multitasker like wifey. She can multitask, but Heston can't multitask very good. Babe. She's always here for sport. I asked her to come on with me today, and she said capital NOPE. I think it was nope, like my word hope. Anyway, step one, honesty, saved my life. That's the start of my life-saving experience. And step two is hope. Hopeless. The step that I took, obviously, well, many of you know, it was the LDS 12 step. And this is where you start to believe that God or a higher power exists and they can restore you to complete spiritual health. Some people have higher powers. Some people higher beings or nature. But you got to find your spiritual side. So this one is just starting to believe. When I first started in my recovery, I remember because I hadn't prayed for decades. Well, I had, but I think I just did it out of habit, like what do they call foxhole prayers, and I practiced at a Christian church and stuff like that. But a heartfelt, God, I need you. I'm not going to make it without you. Step two, that's hope. That's my word. Step three, trust. Now you got to trust in your God or your spiritual being or your higher power, and then you got to turn your will over to that being, person, thing, way of life. Turning your will over exists. It's hard for me to pencil out what my God's will for me is, but I can boil down what his will is not for me. And that's the way I used to live. And so if I can look at the things that I know would not be, then that's kind of his will, and then his will takes over. And so I can give him all my problems and understand that he's going to take them away from him. I believe this 100%. Do I always practice it? I've gotten worse at it. But I think that's just life. We get a little bit complacent but I'm learning. And then step four. So we've got step one was honesty. Step two is hope, and step three is trust. Can you see where we're going with this? Is step four is truth. And so there's a lot about trust and truth and honesty in the 12 steps, and that's because we haven't been honest for as long as we've been in our addictions. We've used people, we've manipulated people, we've robbed people, we've cheated people. We haven't been the best people. And so starting to understand what honesty is, and then brutally being honest, calling yourself out on your lies. It starts to become a way of life, and one foot goes in front of the other, and it gets easier. And the more right decisions you make, the more right decisions it's easier to make, and also the opposite. The more wrong decisions you make, easier it is to make wrong decisions. So truth, step 4, and it's making a written list of all persons you, or no, that's step 8, or 9, sorry. To make a searching and fearless written moral inventory of your life. And this one's a hard one. A lot of people try to go from step 3 to step 6, or 6, yeah, because 4 and 5 are having to write stuff down. I hadn't written anything down for decades, once again, besides a car lot. Doing car deals, writing down numbers, but to write down, and I remember I had a legal pad of yellow paper, and I just kept writing, and my hand would get so cramped, and I'd take a couple minutes and shake my hand, and then I'd write again, and it just kept coming to me, and it's a searching and fearless, not meaning that you're gonna have fear, not gonna have fear, but you're facing it. I wrote down everything I was honest with, who I had hurt, things I had done, how I felt. And most of the time, how I felt was I felt like I was only hurting myself, and if anyone else was hurt, then so what? That's their problem. But that wasn't the way my life would turn. And so then after you've written it down, because if you don't write it down, it ain't real. So write it down. Write down your life, and there's steps that you can follow, but I'm just breaking them down kind of. And step 5 is confession. And this is where you go to someone that's trustworthy, that wouldn't put you in a bad position or use whatever you tell them against you. Because, I've heard I've let people, I've agreed to have many people, I couldn't even count on all my hands and toes. My fingers and toes. Does that make sense? I couldn't count how many people I've done their fifth step with, and what. Well, I told whoever I told, and what people have told me is private. A lot of it. It's not all private. I mean, a lot of people knew, but it's scary stuff to expose to the world. But it's a part of the healing process. They say, it's like a wound. If you have a wound on your arm and you don't take care of it, you don't scrub it, you don't put medicine on it, you don't put a bandage on it, it's going to get bad and it's going to be infected, and then it's going to be hard to treat. But if you do those things, and you start to do those things, which I think are the 12 steps, so you clean it out, and this is this 12-step process. It hurts. It's scary. And it's humbling, but you're telling someone exactly what you did, and exact is pretty much you're reading exactly what you put on that paper in your step 4, and yeah, it begins to be scary. People could, damage was caused in the addiction, so. You can leave it at that. There's many things that I'm sure that people could end up in jail or whatever. I can guarantee you that. But no, hopefully deal with that stuff in steps 8 and 9. But this is step 5, and we're not to steps 8 and 9 yet. So very important to do the steps in order. 1, 2, 3, and so forth to 12. And get it done. Don't stop at 3 and then think, I'll get to 4 later. I'll get to 4, and then I've seen people go years and they never got to 4, and they went back out, and they came back humbly, and they just say every meeting, every time, I didn't do step 4, and so do step 4, and then step 5, and then 6 is change of heart, and this is where you become ready for God to remove your character weaknesses. And this isn't just for addicts, alcoholics, or whatnot. This is for human beings. We all have weaknesses. I know my wife has a lot of weaknesses, and I'm just kidding. No, she does. But we just overlook those because she has so many strengths. It's crazy. Like, she's the strongest woman I ever met. No, so it's a human thing. We all have weaknesses, and so at this point we've in steps 2 and 3 we've started believing God, and then we give it our will to God, and then step 6 we change our heart. A change in your heart begins, and you ask God that you believe in, that you believe can take your powers or your higher power, but can take your problems. You ask Him to remove your character weakness or weaknesses at this point, or defects. Your weaknesses are next. This are weaknesses, but anyway, anyone can do these steps, and I think the program that I went through is not even just for addicts. It's for healing also. It's for family members. It's for anyone that wants to become a better person. In the church that I go to, we call it the Atonement for Dummies. It's written down. It's really easy, and we all get to help each other, and that's strength in numbers. And those meetings was what saved my life, literally. So step 6 is change of heart, and step 7 is humility. And by this point in your steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now 7, you're pretty humble. You don't have much pride in you because you've let all of it out, but it's a good feeling. It's a freeing feeling. It's a peaceful feeling. I always say I wish I could go back to like my 6th month in recovery till 2 years. That was the happiest time of my, well, I guess not just the happiest, because I've been happier, but the most peaceful. Like, nothing could stop me. Like, money, didn't care, didn't need it. Stresses of life, they weren't stresses. It was no big deal. You knew you could get through anything. But step 8 or 7 is humility, and this is where you ask your higher power to take your character defects, and this isn't saying that your character defects go away forever and you'll never have them pop up again, because that would be a lie, and then that would break our number 1 step, is honesty. You need to keep working the steps the rest of our lives, because I have so many character defects that pop back up, and I'm dealing with a lot of them right now. Like right now in my recovery, 6 years and 1 month or so, I'm having the hardest time of my recovery and my life and stress, and I'm trying to soul search and work through it. But I'm sober and I'm clean, and I'm doing it today, and we'll deal with tomorrow. But I do have a good foundation, and I do have a good family, and good friends, and actual friends that you can count on, that'll be there for you and get you through the stresses of life, because it's hard to do it by yourself, and you don't, and when you don't have to. So step 8 is where is keywords is seeking forgiveness, and this isn't apologizing yet. That's or seeking apologies. This is one more step that you're preparing to do this before you actually do it in step 9. So, step 8 is where, once again, you write down, and a lot of your stuff in your step 4 will be in your step 8. You write down your people that you hurt. You write down how you hurt them. You write down what you did to affect them, because, let's be real. Addicts didn't. I don't know of one that just quit and never went back their first try. But it maybe happened. I don't know. I guess I can't say it hasn't. But, our family members and our friends, the actual real ones, we've told them so many times, that's our first step. We don't even go to step 1. I'm sorry, I'll never do it again. Please help me get me out of jail. Please pay my bail, pay my bills. Please, I won't ever do it again. And I'm so sorry I hurt you. And they've heard it a million times, so what's cool about the 12 steps is in this process of doing step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 is preparing to make amends, is that your family members that are around and your friends, your real friends that are around, they've seen the change in you. And they're ready to accept your apologies most of the time. Some of them may turn you away. I didn't have that unfortunate circumstance, but I've had many friends that had, and it's okay, because in step 8 you're preparing to not react to how they accept things, to how they accept you don't get into details on it. You just say, I'm sorry. I hurt you. I'm sorry, and I hope you can forgive me. And then it's in their court. You've cleaned your side of the street, and you move forward. And if they and then, well, yeah, we're step 9 now, restitution and reconciliation. And this is where we make direct amends to all persons we have harmed, or direct restitution. And so there's not just apologies, there's restitution. You know, if you robbed a bank, you probably should clean that up, do your time. If you stole from your parents, you probably need to put a little bit of work in, and or save up and pay back what you feel is acceptable, or what they feel is acceptable restitution. You go to court if you do something wrong, and the court's going to make you got so many community service hours, and this is your restitution, and you need to pay back who you hurt, and they set that parameter. But in a lot of ways, this program, you get to set it yourself, or them. And for me, like I said, it was freeing to be able to say, Dad, I stole your medications. And he didn't even want to hear it. He's like, no, you're good. You don't have to apologize. I said, no, it says in these steps that I have to apologize, and I want you to hear it. And I had to apologize to my daughter, and I know I hurt her. My old boss, Scott, I love Scott. They all accepted it well. My stepdad, who I don't ever know if he ever forgave me, but he said he did. But I don't know. But anyway, I did what I was supposed to do, and so. On to step 10, daily accountability. And I'm not doing very good at this right now, I got to be honest. I used to start my day off of my daily accountability, what I want to do, what I did yesterday better, that I can do better today, what I want to focus on, and then I'd end the night with my accountability. Did I do good at these things? Did I succeed, or do I want to get better at something else that I messed up on today? And it's very important to do. Accountability is letting yourself, what does it say? It says, take personal inventory. When you're wrong, promptly admit it. And I'm pretty good at that. I mess up all the time, or I'll cuss or something, or I'll hurt someone's feelings, or I'll react on someone. But I usually can promptly admit it and say, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have reacted that way. I shouldn't have yelled at the bank teller or whatever. I even went in one time and talked to a bank teller that I was mean to, and he didn't even know or realize that I was mean. And he said, "Oh, you're fine, dude." But at least I cleaned my side of the street, because if you don't do that, you build up that guilt and shame again, and you're just waiting for yourself to get all that weight back on you of the stresses of what you've done and how you feel and how you hurt people. And so daily accountability is a very important thing. Step 11, I suck at it in the program, the LDS program, is personal revelation. And I hope to have someone on here that's like a professional blue book, big book, AA or NA, that can come in and break their steps down, because I didn't do those steps like I should have. Well, I didn't need to, because I did these, and the LDS Church paid the AA program to borrow their their literature and then changed it, personalized it for them, for their beliefs. But personal revelation, and this is talking about seek through prayer and meditation to know the Lord's will and to have the power to carry it out. And I pray, I got to be honest, I pray every morning and every night. I may have missed less than a handful of times in the last 6 years where I didn't pray morning or night. But meditation, as it says in this thing, meditation, man, my brain, as soon as I'm done praying, I'm done. You know, I can't focus on what is it, meditation. See, I just forgot that because I can't focus on that. Meditation or revelation. I can't wait and listen for nothing because my brain's going so fast. I've got 50 other things that's going on in my brain. And so I got to work on this one because it's very important, meditation. Yoga people, I need to get out there with a yoga person. My neighbor, Laura Bean, she'd be my yoga lady. She's like flexible. Hey, her husband was on here, Tom. He's like my best friend or like top 5. But yeah, maybe I need to talk to her about meditation because I suck at that. And why are you laughing so hard? Do you want to come on and let the people know why you're laughing so hard? Because I said she's flexible? She is. She always puts it on her Facebook, man. She could bend like the pretzel. It's crazy. But anyway, step 12 is keyword service, and that is where you've accomplished steps 1 through 11 in order. And so 10, 11, and 12 are your maintenance steps is what they're considered. Those are your everyday for the rest of your lifers. And then 1 through 9 is you need to go back and work those as they pop up in your life. But step 12 is service. And service can be anywhere from coming on a radio and talking about your problems with addiction and trying to help someone, or going to a meeting or facilitating a meeting or running a meeting or anything. Because if you're a recovering addict and you make it and you're successful, I promise you're going to have enough service opportunities to last you a lifetime. You will have that problem. But some people aren't comfortable with it. Some people don't want to talk about it, which is cool. It's okay because each person's different, but it's important for them to service. There's soup kitchens. There's going to the grocery store and taking the lady's card in for her, or putting her groceries in, or like my wife just said, a big smile on your face and say hi to someone. You know, you see the homeless guy on the street, don't just give him $2 and be on your way because you feel good. Say, how you doing? Can I go get you a burrito for $2 instead? What's your story? And listen to them, hear them out. You know, it's genuine, and it's communication. And my wife says I suck at that, but I'm actually pretty good with anyone but her. I think it's because she don't do good at communication. But anyway, she's rolling her eyes. She loves me. I'm lucky. But yeah, service can be anything. It can be literally just watching your own kids is service. Being a parent is service. You know, anything. So just give back. Love everyone. The 12 steps broken down by Heston, his way. I'm not a doctor, so this is Church of Heston, no one else. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next Monday.